Good day, viewers, netizens, and citizens of the outside world. Amidst the COVID 19 phenomena, we, the Group 3 of Humanista researchers in St. Paul College of Pucawe, would like to present and share our research study entitled The Comparison of the Brain Dominance of Left and Right-Handed Students. Here is the Chapter 1 to be presented by Mr. Simon Jose and Ms. Chiara Agustin.
Good day, I am Simon Curtose of Group 3 St. Andrew to discuss our Chapter 1 entitled The Problem and Its Background. Paul Broca, as cited in Mastin 2012, the handedness of a person is opposite from the specialized hemisphere, such as a being of left brain or right brain, meaning a right handed person presumably has a dominant left hemispheric brain, while on the other hand, a left handed person most likely has a right brain dominance. And a study, an experiment conducted by Rogers Perry tackles the left and right hemisphere of the brain, along with its different characteristics. Rogers Perry, as cited in McConnell 2015, after testing a few patients that had their brain split by surgical means. Rogers Perry, the proponent of the split brain theory, came up to a conclusion that different sides of the brain held different skill sets. This gave rise to the concept of left brain thinkers and right brain thinkers. McConnell 2015 contextualizes the aforementioned conclusion with Isaac Newton as a prime example of a left brain thinker, and it introduces the left brain skills such as a calculation, number crunching, and analytical thinking. Um, Whereas on the other hand, for the right brain thinker, the prime example would be Leonardo da Vinci, which um, the right brain skill set such as a creativity, emotions, and recollections. Later on, in about the brain lateralization is related to handedness of a person, according to Augustine 2019. Lateralization or laterality is the development of specialized functioning in each hemisphere of the brain or in the side of the body which each control. Lateralization or laterality pertains to the particular development of certain functions in brain hemispheres such as well as on the left or right side of the body that is being controlled respectively. To add up, lateralization, Forrester 2016 stated in an example of laterality in persons handedness, which is generally classified as left or right, which remains a constant characteristic throughout one's life. The two parts of left and right brain is said to control over the opposite sides of the body. However, both sides of the brain are not equal in control. This results to the bias of the hands certain tasks over the other. Paul Broca, as cited in Holder 2015, consider the person's handedness as opposite from the dominant hemisphere. So, and here it means that a right-handed person is probably as a left brain dominant. However, a left-handed person also seems to have a left dominant brain. Concerning about this study of comparing the brain dominance and handedness of individuals, the researchers were guided by the right shift theory that would tackle the probable relationship relation of left and right-handedness to the brain dominance of an individual. The theory suggests to associations between handedness and cerebral dominance. Therefore, the researchers were interested and eager to conduct a study comparing students' brain dominance and hand preference.
Next, rationale of the study. This study aimed to compare the brain dominance and the handedness of the high school students of St. Paul College, Bukawi.
Statement of the problem. Our main problem is how were the left-handed and right-handed students compared in terms of brain dominance. Our specific problems are the researchers sought answer to the following questions. Number one, we have what is the profile of the students in terms of age, gender, handedness. Second, we have our left-handed students, right brain dominant. Third, we have our right-handed students, left brain dominant. And we have fourth question is what is the brain dominance of the left-handed students? Fifth, what is the brain dominance of the right-handed students? Sixth, what is the profile of the high school students of St. Paul College, Bukawi in terms of handedness? Seventh, lastly, is there a significant difference in brain dominance in terms of handedness? Next, we have theoretical framework. We have our first theory, which is split brain theory by Roger Sperry. In 1968, he investigated the function of separated hemisphere of the brain, and the experiments were undertaken on people who had already their corpus callosum that connects to the left and to the right sides of the brain. Severed as a treatment for severe epilepsy, Roger Sperry indicates that human brain are divided into hemisphere and left hemisphere and right hemisphere. Although these halves look similar, they have different functions, and this division of tasks between the hemisphere is called lateralization for function. For example, the major function of the language are carried out in the left hemisphere for the right-handed people. This initiates the idea of the left brain thinkers and the right brain thinkers, where the left brain thinkers are more analytical and critical, while the right brain thinkers are more creative and emotionally thinkers and artistic. Our second theory is right shift theory by a British psychologist, Morgan Annett, back in 1972. This theory suggests that lateral asymmetries arise from accidental difference between the sides of the body. There is an additional specific influence on human brain asymmetry on RS plus gene is present in some but not all people that induces advantage for the left hemisphere by weakening the right hemisphere. The theories This theory explains the association between the handedness and the cerebral dominance. The RS plus or right shift gene controls the development of the motor cortex in the left side of the brain, resulting in a right hand preference or right shift. Another allele of the gene is to RS minus gene, which is carried by the lefties. However, the RS minus gene doesn't cause a left shift. Um, Instead, it is indifferent to the direction of the motor dominance. According to this theory, Left-handers do not inherit their hand preference. They merely inherit a lack of neurological bias towards a dominant left hemisphere. Uh, there's then no gene for left-handedness as such, merely uh, to the absence of or preference of a gene for right-handedness. The overall effect of which is to shift the distribution of handedness in in the population as a whole towards the right end of the spectrum. Third, we have lateralizational theory. This theory believes that one hemisphere dominates while carrying out certain tasks or functions. However, the degree or extent of lateralization will differ from person to person or individual cases.
Conceptual framework. For the input, we will be needing the profile of the respondents such as their name, age, and gender. This will also include the brain dominance, which is categorized into two, namely as the left brain dominant and the right brain dominant. And lastly, handedness, which is also categorized into two, which are the left-handed and the right-handed. For the process, the researchers used a comparative research design in order to compare the brain dominance and handedness of the students. The research respondents are the selected high school students of St. Paul College of Bukawi. The questionnaire used was the right or left brain dominance test, and the data gathering procedure was done in December 2019 up until January 2020. And as an output, this resulted to the comparison of the brain dominance of the left and right-handed students in St. Paul College of Bukawi. The research hypothesis. For the null hypothesis, there is no significant difference between the brain dominance and handedness of the students. While for the alternative hypothesis, there is a significant difference between the brain dominance and handedness of the students. The definition of terms. For the conceptual definition of handedness, it is defined by Marchand in 2018 as the tendency in humans to use, prefer, or favor one hand over the other. Aside from that, it is also defined as the classification of individuals as right-handed or left-handed by Augustine, Power, and Duignan in 2015. As for Papadato Pasco in 2018, it is perceived as one's preferred hand in writing. And for the operational definition of handedness, handedness was determined by the profiling of the respondents upon survey. For the conceptual definition of brain dominance, an individual has a natural preference for processing information on one side of by Damot in 2009. Singh in 2015 also defined brain dominance as retaining and processing of information with different modes in his own style of learning and thinking. And as for Shakti in 2015, it is a preferred mode of cognitive processing that is linked to predominant activity of either the left or right cerebral hemisphere. And for the operational definition of brain dominance, this was measured by the scores in the right or left brain dominance test. The significance of the study. This research aims to compare the left-handed and right-handed students in terms of their brain dominance. So first, it would benefit the students as this would give them insights on how their handedness is in relation with their brain dominance. And second, this would benefit the teachers wherein they would acquire information on how the brain dominance of their students vary from one another in terms of their handedness. And lastly, this research would also benefit the future researchers on those who will be conducting studies about the handedness and brain dominance, as this study would give them references and insights that may be helpful for them.
Moving on to Chapter 3 to be discussed by Mr. Troy Del Rosario.
For our chapter 3, let's talk about the research design. For our research design is to efficiently interpret the data and show the difference of handedness and brain dominance of the junior high and senior high school students of St. Paul College of Bukawi. The study will make use of comparative study design. Um, for our research respondents, in this study, the population of selected high school students of St. Paul College of Bukawi was selected as its respondents to determine the relationship of the handedness of the brain dominance. For our respondents, we have the grade 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. As you can see here, for our table 1, the frequency distribution of the left and right-handed respondents according to their grade level. For the grade 7, they have 24 left-handed and then 24 right-handed. Why is it the same? Because it needs to be balanced at the same time. And also to avoid any biases regarding to our selected respondents. For example, for the grade 8, if the left-handed are 26, the right-handed should be 26 as well. For the grade 9, they have 19 left-handed and then 19 right-handed students. You get the idea. For the highest number of participants is 52, which came from grade 8, while the least number of participants is 22, which came from grade 11. This table also reveals that there are 114 participants both for the left-handed and the right-handed students separately, which result in the total number of 228 participants. For the data gathering instrument, we have the right or left brain dominant test. The questionnaire was chosen to categorize a person being left brain or right brain dominant. It is composed of a 10-item test, with each item consisting of two situational statements regarding us: A for the left brain thinker and B for the right brain thinker. This indicates which hemisphere of the brain is mostly used by the participant. If A had resulted in more than B, a person is purported as left brain dominant, while if B gathered more responses than a person is a right brain dominant. According to the questionnaire formulated by Jaina Dean, PhD, she said that left brain dominance, who they are the logical thinkers, who are book lovers, and who are smart and loves math and science. And while the right brain dominant, they are they do a physical activities like playing instruments, playing sports, singing, or dancing. For the data gathering procedure, there was an allotted time to survey the junior high and senior high school students. A survey was held before the distribution of the questionnaires to determine the population of the left-handed students and the right-handed students. In this study, the left-handed had a fixed total of 114 individuals. We employed the simple random sampling method for the selection of the right-handed students that mirrored the quantity of the left-handed per section. 48 is the largest number of students per class. It was the highest number used for choosing the right-handed person through draw lottery. For those who are interested in our to answer our survey, the procedure was done the whole month of December 2019 up until the second week of January 2020. For that statistical treatment, a comparative and descriptive statistical tool was used in the treatment of the data in the study. And now, we are going to talk about the descriptive statistical tool. The frequency and percentage statistics were used to present the profile of the respondents and to identify which of them are left brain or right brain dominant. The weighted average was used to identify the dominant brain area of respondent. The respondents were identified through a set of situational questions with dichotomous scales wherein the left brain dominant students is identified through having a majority answers of A. On the other hand, the respondents with most Bs were categorized as a right brain dominant. Like I said, if they answered more than A, they are the left brain dominant, and B, they are the right brain dominant. And lastly, we are going to talk about the inferential statistical tool. We use the t-test value to identify if there is a significance difference between the two variables. The mean value was calculated by combining all the scores surveyed.
Next, we have the chapter 4 to be tackled by Mr. Benedict Prodon.
Good day, I am Benedict Prodon, and I came from the Group 2 research of St. Andrew. Our study is about the comparison of the brain dominance of left and right-handed students in St. Paul College of Bukawi. Now for this time, I'm going to discuss to you the chapter 4 of our research, which is all about the presentation, analysis, and interpretation of data that was acquired by the researchers with regards to this study. Now, previously in Chapter T, one of my research members discussed to you the first table, which is the frequency and percentage distribution of left and right-hand students according to grade level. Well, that is the first table. However, for this chapter, we are going to discuss the second table, which is entitled the frequency and percentage distribution of the left-handed students according to their age. Now, as you can see from this table, we have 8 left-handed students who are actually 12 years old, which is then equivalent to 7%. Second, we have 26 left-handed students who are 13 years old, equivalent to 23%. We have 25 left-handed students who are 14 years old, equivalent to 22%. We have 15 students who are actually 15 years old, equivalent to 13%. We have 21 students who are 16 years old, equivalent to 18%. We have 9 students who are 17 years old, equivalent to 8%. And lastly, we have 10 left-handed students who are actually 18 years old, equivalent to 9%. Now, this will total to 114 left-handed students, which is then equivalent to 100%. Now, as you can see from this table, majority of the left-handed students has the age of 13 years old. Second to that is the category of 14 years old. Third is, of course, the 16 years old, wherein 21 students are 16 years old. And then the least number that we can see from this table is the category of 12 years old, where it is only equivalent to 7%. Now for our next table, table number T, it is entitled with frequency and percentage distribution of the left-handed students according to their gender. Now, in the gender category, we have 2, male and female. Now, for the male category, we have the frequency of 61 left-handed students, equivalent to 54%. Second, we have the female category, wherein there is a 53 left-handed students, equivalent to 46%. Now in total, this will result to 114 left-handed students, that is equivalent to 100%. As you can see from this table, majority of the left-handed students are male. That is equivalent to 54%. Now, for the next table, we have table number 4, which is entitled to frequency and percentage distribution of the left-handed students according to their brain dominance. Now, as you can see in the brain dominance category, we have 3, left brain, right brain, and the neutral category. Let us first tackle the first category. As you can see, 68 left-handed students are actually left brain dominant, which is equivalent to 60%. Now, second, we have 31 left-handed students who are right brain dominant, equivalent to 27%. And lastly, we have 15 remaining left-handed students who fell in the neutral category, equivalent to 13%. As you can see from this table, it may seem obvious that majority of the left-handed student fell in the left brain dominant category. Now, for our next table, table number 5, which is the frequency and percentage distribution of the right-handed students according to their age. Now, this may be similar to our first table that we discussed right now. Previously, I presented to you the frequency and percentage distribution of the left-handed students according to the age. But right now, I'm going to present to you the ages of the right-handed students. Now, let's first tackle the first category, which is the 12. We can see in this table that 12 students are actually 12 years old, equivalent to 11%. Next, we have the 17 students who are 13 years old, equivalent to 15%. Third, we have 28 students who are 14 years old, equivalent to 24%. We have 21 students who are 15 years old, equivalent to 18%. We have 10 students who are 16 years old, equivalent to 9%. And then we have 15 students who are 17 years old, equivalent to 13%. And lastly, we have 11 right-handed students who are 18 years old, equivalent to 10%. Now, as you can see from this table number 5, it seems that majority of our right-handed students are 14 years old, taking up of 28 respondents. Second to that is age 15 years old, wherein 21 respondents are 15 years old, equivalent to 18%. And then we have third, the 13 years old category, wherein 17 students are actually 13 years old. Now, the least number that we can see from this table is the category of 16-year-old, which is only equivalent to 9% out of 100%. Now, again, the total number of right-handed students are 114, equivalent to 100%. Now, for our next table, table number 6, this will divide the gender of our right-handed students. This table is entitled Frequency and Percentage Distribution of the Right-Handed Students According to Their Gender. Now, in the gender, we have two categories, male and female. Now, let us first tackle the first gender, the male, which has a frequency of 65 respondents, which is equivalent to 57%. And of course, the female category, which has 49 respondents, equivalent to 43%. Again, it is equivalent to 114 right-handed students, equivalent to 100%. It seems that again, majority of the right-handed students came or male, or majority of the right-handed students are male. Next, we have table number 7, frequency and percentage distribution of the right-handed students according to brain dominance. Now, as you can see, we still have the three categories. First, left brain, right brain, and of course, the neutral category. First, let us talk about the first. In the first line of the table, we have 76 right-handed students that are left brain dominant, equivalent to 67%. Second, we have 20 right-handed students that are right brain dominant, equivalent to 17%. And then, of course, we have the neutral category, which has 18 respondents, wherein it is equivalent to 16%. Now, in total, we have 114 right-handed students, equivalent to 100%. Now, as you can see from this table, obviously, majority of the right-handed students came from the left. Majority of the right-handed students are left brain dominant. Now, for our next table, table number 8. Now, this is a combination of two categories. It is entitled the frequency and percentage distribution of brain dominance of the participants according to their handedness. Now, as you can see, we still have three categories: brain dominance, left, right, and neutral category. And of course, in the handedness, we have the left and right category. Now first, let us talk about the left-handed category first. As you can see, 68 left-handed students are left brain dominant, equivalent to 60%. Second, we have 31 students who are actually right brain dominant, equivalent to 27%. And of course, we have the neutral category, wherein 15 left-handed students fell in the neutral category, equivalent to 13%. Now, on the other hand, let us talk about the right-hand category. Now, as you can see from the table, we have 76 right-handed students who are left brain dominant, equivalent to 67%. We have 20 right-handed students who are right brain dominant, equivalent to 17%. And then we have 18 right-handed students who fell in the neutral category, equivalent to 16%. Now, it seems that we can see from this table that majority, even if it is left-handed or right-handed, most of the left and right-handed respondents are left brain dominant. For our next table, let us see the table number 9, which is the frequency and distribution of age of the respondents according to their handedness. Now, in the handedness category, we can see in this table, we have the left and right-handed. And of course, we have the age, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 years old. Now, let us now discuss this table. Now, in the age of 12, it says here that 8 left-handed students are 12 years old. And there is 12 right-handed students who are also 12 years old, equivalent to 20. Now, second, we have 26 left-handed students who are 13 years old and 17 right-handed students who are 13 years old, equivalent to 43 in total. And then we can see in the third line, we have 25 left-handed students who are 14. And then we have 28 right-handed students who are also 14 years old, equivalent to 53. Now, in the fourth line, we can see that there are left-handed students here. We have 15 left-handed students who are 15 years old. And then in the right-handed, we have 21 right-handed students who are 15 years old, equivalent to 36. Now, to continue, we have 21 left-handed students who are 16 years old. And then we have right-handed category. It has 10 right-handed students who are 16 years old too, equivalent to 31. And then we have 9 left-handed students who are 17 years old. And of course, we have 15 right-handed students who are also 17 years old, bringing up the total of 24. Now, lastly, we have 10 left-handed students who are 18 years old. And of course, we have 11 right-handed students who are also 18 years old, bringing up the total of 21. Now, all in all, we have 114 left-handed respondents. We have 114 right-handed respondents, equivalent to a total of 228 respondents, which is divided into 2 categories, the left and right-handed. Now, to summarize, we can see here that there are 20 respondents who are 12 years old. There are 43 respondents who are 13 years old. There are 53 respondents who are 14 years old. There are 36 respondents who are 15 years old. We have 31 respondents who are 16 years old. We have 24 respondents who are 17 years old. And lastly, we have 21 respondents who are in the age of 18 years old. Now, as you can see here in the table, majority of the respondents in total are ages 14 years old. As you can see, there are total 53. Second to that is the 13 years old, which has 43 in total. And of course, third, we have the 15 years old. As you can see, 36 respondents are 15 years old. Well, in this table, the least number that we are going to see are the age of 18 years old, where there is only 21 respondents in total out of the 228. Now, to continue, we have table number 10, which is the weighted mean of left brain dominant respondents according to their handedness. Now, this table reveals that all the scores of the left-handed respondents who are left brain dominant resulted to a 7.35 weighted mean, while all the scores of the right-handed respondents who are left brain dominant resulted to a 7.05 weighted mean. So you can see, it seems that the left brain dominant with regards to left-handedness is much higher than the other. Now let's see table number 11, which is the weighted mean of right brain dominant respondents according to their handedness. Now table 11 reveals that the scores of all left-handed respondents who are right brain dominant resulted to a 6.63 weighted mean, while all the scores of right-handed respondents who are right brain dominant result to a 6.47 weighted mean. Now it seems that still the highest mean here is the right brain dominant with regards to the left-handed category with a mean of 6.63. Now, for our next table, table number 12, we have the weighted mean of neutral brain dominant respondents according to their handedness. This table reveals that the total scores of left-handed respondents who fell in the neutral category resulted to a weighted mean of 5, while the right-handed respondents who fell in the neutral category also had a weighted mean of 5. Now, as you can see from the table here, both of the category, whether it is left-handed or right-handed, are equivalent to a weighted mean of 5. Now, for our next table, this is the t-test between the left brain dominant and handedness of the students. Now, this is table number 13. And as you can see, the table reveals the t-test that was between the scores of left brain dominance and handedness of the respondents, wherein the computed t was 8.769230769, while the critical t was 6.313751515, which is resulted to no significant difference between the two variables. As you can see, the computed t was less than the critical t, because as you can see, the computed t was negative 8.769, while the critical t was much higher because it is a positive 6.31, and so on and so forth. Now, our next table, it is the table number 14, the t-test between the right brain dominant and handedness of the students. As you can see from this table reveals the t-test was between the scores of right brain dominance and handedness of the respondents, wherein the computed t was negative 8.7068965552, while the critical t was 6.3137511515, which resulted to no significant difference between the two variables. As you can see, the computed t is still less than the critical t, because the computed t is negative 8.706, and the critical t is much more higher, which is 6.313175, so on and so forth. Now, our last table, table number 15, which is the frequency and percentage distribution of handedness of the high school students according to their year level. Now, as you can see in the grade 7, there are 24 left-handed students that came from the grade 7, equivalent to 21%. And then we have 26 left-handed students coming from grade 8, equivalent to 23%. We have 19 students who are grade 9, equivalent to 17%. We have 18 students coming from grade 10 level, equivalent to 16%. We have 11 students who came from the grade level itself, which resulted to a percentage of 10%. And then lastly, we have 16 left-handed students who came from the grade 12 level, equivalent to 14%. We're in 14%. And in total, we have 114 left-handed students, equivalent to 100%. Now, let us talk about the right-handed category. Now, as you can see here, in the grade 7, there are 164 right brain. We have 164 right-handed students, equivalent to 18%. Second, we have 154 right-handed students coming in from the grade 8 level, equivalent to 17%. And then we have the 171. We have 171 right-handed students coming in from grade 9, equivalent to 19%. And then we have 166 right-handed students coming in from the grade 10, equivalent to 18%. We have 125 right-handed students coming in from the grade 11, equivalent to 14%. And of course, we have again 125 right-handed students in the grade 12 level, equivalent to 14%. All in all, in the right-hand category, we have a total of 907 right-handed students in the high school department, which is equivalent to 100%.
So for the fifth chapter, it will be reported by yours truly, Ms. Thea Divina. As we all know, the chapter 5 is the summary of findings, conclusions, and recommendations regarding the study. So as a review, our study aimed at a comparison of the brain dominance of the left and right-handed students in St. Paul College of Bukawe. First, let us further scrutinize on our findings, which consists of 7 problems in relation to our specific questions prior from our chapter 1. Problem number 1 states, what is the profile of the respondents in terms of their age, gender, and handedness? So problem number 1 consists of 3 sub-findings. Let us start off with age. Among the 228 respondents of our research, we have classified them into the ages 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And most of our respondents fell among the 14-year-old category, which consists of 53 respondents. And the least number of our respondents fell among the category of 12 years old, which consists of 20 respondents. So for the second sub-finding, we have the gender profile of the respondents. And out of 228 respondents, there are 126 male and 102 female respondents. On the other hand, 61 male respondents are left-handed, while 53 female respondents are left-handed as well. And in contrast to this, the right-handed respondents consist of 65 male and 49 female. So why did we include gender in our respondent profiling? Simply because we want to equally represent both gender and avoid gender bias. For the third sub-finding is the handedness profile of the respondents. And based on the data that we have gathered, there are 114 respondents for the left-handed students, which is contrary to the 907 remaining respondents who are right-handed students. So that 114 respondents were used as a basis to equally represent the right-handed students, which sums to a total of 228 respondents that are left and right-handed. For the second problem, it states, what is the brain dominance of the left-handed students? So out of 114 left-handed students, 60% are left brain dominant, 27% are right brain dominant, and 13% fell among the neutral brain dominant category, which we encountered during our tabulation of the data that we have gathered. And as you can see, most of the left-handed students in St. Paul College of Bukawe are left brain dominant. For the third problem, it states what is the brain dominance of right-handed students? And out of the 114 right-handed respondents, we have gathered a data of 67% who are left brain dominant, 17% right brain dominant, and 16% who fell in the neutral category. So therefore, most of the right-handed respondents in St. Paul College of Pucawe are left brain dominant as well, which again consists of 67% out of 100%. For problem number 4, it states are left-handed students right brain dominant? Well, in relation to our problem number 2, which states what is the brain dominance of the left-handed students, based on the findings and data that we have gathered, most of the left-handed students in St. Paul College of Pucawe are left brain dominant, which consists of 60% out of 100%. However, there are 27% who are right brain dominant, and 13% of the left-handed students fell in the neutral category. But most of the left-handed students in St. Paul College of Pucawe are therefore left brain dominant. For problem number 5, it states are right-handed students left brain dominant? In relation as well to our problem number 3, which states what is the brain dominance of right-handed students, based on the data we have gathered, most of the right-handed students in St. Paul College of Pucawe are also left brain dominant, which consists of 67% out of 100% among the 228 respondents of our research. For problem number 6, it states what is the profile of the high school students in St. Paul College of Pucawe in terms of handedness. Well, based from the data we have gathered, there are a total of 1,021 students in the high school department of St. Paul College of Pucawe. 114 of them are left-handed students, while 907 of them are right-handed. Problem number 7 states, is there a significant difference between the brain dominance and handedness of the respondents? In our research methodology, we utilize the inferential statistic t-test to calculate our data. And based on the t-test that we have done, both the calculated t-value of our left and right brain dominance are lower than the critical t-value. Therefore, our null hypothesis, which states there is no significant difference between the brain dominance and handedness of our students, is accepted. Moving on to the summary of conclusions that our group had drawn according to the data that we were able to gather. Conclusion number 1. Most of the left and right-handed student respondents in St. Paul College of Pucawe are left brain dominant. Well, according to the lateralization theory in psychology, which is one of our guiding theories in our research, it believes that one hemisphere of the brain is regarded to dominate among the other while carrying out specific functions or tasks, even though it may differ from person to person or individual cases. Therefore, based on the data that we have gathered, 60% out of 100 of the left-handed students and 67% out of 100% of the right-handed students are left brain dominant. So most of our respondents, of our left and right-handed respondents, are left brain dominant, which is very contradicting to one of the studies we have gathered from Stridhar 2016 that states most left-handed students appear to be mostly right brain dominant for fine motor tasks, Well, in the case of St. Paul College of Pukawe, then again, most of the left-handed and right-handed students are left brain dominant. Conclusion number 2. Most of the student respondents from St. Paul College of Pukawe are right-handed individuals. Well, based on the data we have gathered, there are a total of 1,021 students in St. Paul College of Pukawe. 114 of them are left-handed students, while 907 are right-handed students. And this conclusion is similar to the statement of Sridhar 2016, wherein it says that the world is a right-handed world, right-handed dominant world. To further support this, the Covell CGF, Carion Castillo A, and Frank C. in 2019 states that one of the obvious characteristics of human behavior is its hand preference, wherein 90% of individuals worldwide prefer using the right hand for major tasks, while the rest of the 10% are left-handed people. Conclusion number 3. It states that there is no significant difference between brain dominance and handedness of the respondents. Well, based on the finding and data we have gathered from the t-test calculated between the brain dominance and handedness of the student, it resulted that there is no significant difference, which is in contrast to one of our guiding theories, which is the lateralization theory, wherein it states that one hemisphere is regarded to be dominant among the other upon carrying out certain tasks or functions. In addition to this, our study can be related to the study of the Covell CGF, or rather, our conclusion number 3 can be related to the study of the Covell CGF et al. 2019, wherein it investigated the relationship of early life factors and adult hand preferences. The study showed that early life factors such as birth weight, being part of a multiple birth season of birth, breastfeeding, as well as gender, does not particularly become a predictor of an individual's hand preference. On the other hand, a study also by COK 2013 about the listening comprehension, achievement, and brain dominance of the students also showed that there is no significant difference between the two variables. Therefore, the listening comprehension achievement of a student does not become a predictor of one's brain dominance. Therefore, the aforementioned statements proves that there is no significant difference between our study about the brain dominance and handedness of the students in St. Paul College of Pukawe.